so scattered. I'm such a seeker and I'm so all over the place. And I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I keep opening the wrong door, trying the wrong thing. And I know it's so silly because I have to take one of these out. It sounds weird when they're both in. It feels so silly. And I know it seems silly because I'm told over and over again what I'm looking for is right here. And it's the reaching and the seeking that's literally keeping me from recognizing it. And so then I'll sit in impersonal awareness, and I will stop throughout the day and just kind of sit in what's here right now. And I really have a hard time with meditation. And so what I find in meditation and when I sit in natural meditation, and I get lost in thought. And then I feel like a failure. And then I'm drawn to the seeking, I'm drawn to the listening, I'm drawn to the books and the videos because the alternative doesn't feel fruitful. It feels like I've wasted my time. And so I want to do something that doesn't waste my time. I want to take in more information. So yeah, I'm really frustrated in that, in my mind identification and in my I still have a hard time with the notion of watching my thoughts. To me, it's so elusive. To me, when I say, okay, I'm gonna see what arises, I'm suddenly lost in thought. And I feel engulfed in it that I can't even see what's happening. I just know that I'm lost in thought. So then I start over. And that just continues to happen. So I don't know if I'm really looking correctly at thoughts or for thoughts. Um, and I have a whole list of questions, but I'll just stop there.
Yeah, your original note when you scheduled was my seeking is driving me crazy. I'm like, all right, I know how to deal with this.
Yay. Yay. It's exhausting.
Yeah. So the thing is, I think you already just said it, but you're already it. You're pretending not to be it.
Mhm.
The reason or the way that you're pretending not to be it is that there's a survival flavored urge to keep believing in everything you've ever been told. So the mind is basically this collection, this filing cabinet full of junk that's all been out here and based in illusion. But it seems to be you and it seems to be how you stay alive. So it's compelling. But that's really it. There's nothing special that the mind contains or that keeps you safe. It's just because you've believed that it keeps you safe, it appears to do so.
Yeah. Could I tell you a thought that I just had that I think the more I talk, maybe the more you can poke holes in what's
Yeah,
um
I have two
holding
holes
me
I
back.
want to poke already.
So I recently was kind of meditating, and it felt like more of a thought. I don't really get into a deep meditation, and that's a real struggle because I really want to be able to meditate. But the thought was that there's a hollowness to me. There's a hollowness. I feel solid, but there's a hollowness, and the thoughts make me feel like this complete identity. But it's really hollow. And the ego, or the part of me that wants to survive, is keeping me doing, and that doing is making me feel like a complete identity and a person with a thing to do. Um, and so I feel like I know that those thoughts are deceptive, and it's the being told to do is keeping me in the identity, and that what's under that is hollow.
Hmm.
I know nothing needs to be done, And so I don't know why that I could see it so clearly, and I don't know why the direct experience is so difficult. I don't know why I keep it conceptual.
Mhm. Okay. Is the Jodi character high functioning?
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So there appears to really be a usefulness in the Jodi character.
Yeah.
It's like, how will this train keep on chugging along if the conditioning to always be doing is dropped? This whole thing's going to fall apart if I don't keep it together, says the ego.
Yeah. The moment is I spend so much time, f being frustrated and trying to solve problems that are not my domain. You know, they're not in my domain. And so the kind of epiphany I had was, I'm not solving the world's problems. That the amount of energy I am putting in this is really futile and consuming, and it takes me away from my present moment. I mean, hardcore. The amount of time, and it's so compulsive, a whole thought stream will come in, always about a conversation with my dad or someone like my dad to be on program. So anyway, the whole thing is I am consumed with it, and I think about it day in and day out. And I
So,
just had that thought of this doesn't help you in any way.
no. So there are some like root things under this that are all fueling all of it. So from your current perspective, it seems like there is so much that I'm going to have to untangle in order to awaken, but it's not true. And so
Yes.
there's this huge illusion of frustration. And there ultimately, we could say, as a soul, as a package of awareness, there's been a choice. There have been many choices along this to keep going in this direction of this game. So this is your game.
Yes.
Yeah. And now you want to play a different game. But it
Yeah.
is sort of like a train in that it has a momentum. So we're going to take all the fuel out of the whatever thing, a train, whatever. Um, take that away and let it just putter out. Let it keep going, and eventually it'll just do its thing. I think because of the programming that's already there, there's this idea that I'm going to force stop this train right now. And that is fueling it because
Yeah.
it's more of the same. So you said you're frustrated um, with meditation. I want to meditate. I feel like I'm wasting my time and getting lost in thought. So all these things, have you ever practiced Vipassana?
No, but I want to. I've done a silent retreat, and I've done a couple different things, but again, it's all reaching. It's all just
Yeah.
reaching.
Yeah, yeah. So you don't need to. I was just going to draw upon something from it, which is that there are sort of two components. There is attention, but then there is also equanimity. So
Mhm.
you have this like will to pay attention, but there's not equanimity.
Right.
There's this idea that whatever is that what I'm looking at isn't good enough. That's the person. The person says this isn't good enough, right? So who you already always are, who you have never left being, does not take issue with how the thoughts are coming through, what the progress is in this so-called journey, what the outside world is doing. You don't care. And it's completely beyond morality. It's not some idea of apathy. It
Right.
is because you do know that all is already well, and that
Yeah.
you are not only already good enough, you're beyond any idea of questioning that.
Do you know what I think confuses me about that?
Hmm.
Is I'm so confused about the notion of, manifesting
Hmm.
or because I'm told on one hand, you're not the doer, and you're just like the virtual actor in the cosmic imagination. You're just experiencing the story. You're not. You're not creating the story. But yet there's other things that I hear that make me think that what I do matters, that how I think matters, like the idea of manifesting. And I don't know how to reconcile that.
Anything that is done has nothing to do with you.
Okay, so there is no manifesting. There's just, I think, living a new experience gives you a different reality, but
Yeah,
you're not doing.
right. You're not.
Okay.
Yeah, I would set aside law of attraction.
I
Let
don't I don't even know about any of that, but I think in my mind, it I hear about it and I've given it relevance.
Yeah, it's entangled with it.
Yeah.
There's a really prominent author that was very law of attraction oriented and then went into the non-duality stuff. So there are a lot of people and teachers and things influenced by these
Yeah.
things being together. I say let that go. Don't worry about it. But it's going to come back around for you naturally without you worrying about it. You'll come to an understanding once you recognize in this experience your place in it.
Okay.
So for me, there's so many different sort of threads of spirituality out there right now that sort of conflict with each other or just confuse matters.
Mhm.
Do what resonates. If something introduces confusion, just don't worry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, because some of it's so it's like very close to parallel. And so it feels like it resonates, but it's not the whole truth. It's not the whole
Yeah.
thing. And have you read the book One Thing at a Time?
No.
Okay. Um,
Should I? I'm gonna write it down.
what's that?
I'm gonna write it down. I
Yeah,
wrote it
well, it's
down.
my book. It's a book I wrote, so you can just
Oh,
Google it.
hold on. I may have downloaded it. I don't think I've started it. But if
Okay.
you wrote it, I think I bought it when I was scheduled with you. I just
Okay.
haven't started it yet.
Yeah. I was just asking because it would kind of give you a background of what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
The way that we now live is sort of scientific. So we don't take on anything new that anyone tells us outside of ourselves, including right now, you and me. So you're basically a scientist saying, show me beyond a doubt what's true. I'm going to say things to you. You're going to have to go inward and do your science.
Yes.
Anything that's like, feel good, just believe me, and we're going to go with it, scrap it,
Yeah.
including the news.
Right.
How do
And
I
I've heard that
know?
I've heard that that if it's words, anything that's words, um, isn't the answer. Like that's where the direct experience.
Right. But I also mean that there are so many other experiences trying to assert their agenda and their will, even in spirituality, that ultimately you're the only one that you should trust.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm. Which is where we get to dropping our beliefs, dropping all the beliefs we've ever taken on, which the most root belief will always be that I am the human being. But levels out from that, we can work on, oh, okay, well, I've taken on the belief that I only have value when I'm doing stuff, when I'm productive. So many people have this, and it's ultimately like a system wide belief, we could say, within capitalism that says, don't rest, it's a waste of time. Or,
Yes.
and so many people feel guilt from that for no reason. Everyone on this earth, except for humans, is perfectly reconciled with resting whenever they want. And they are also beyond morality. We're the only ones who have chained ourselves up for no reason.
Yeah. One of my, I think my deep motivators with regard to staying informed
Mm,
is I had volunteered. I won't go into the whole story, but I had volunteered in Germany at a former concentration camp where it was an archaeological dig. and I happened to walk through a neighborhood to get to the concentration camp. And I totally thought the cab dropped me off in the wrong place. And because I walked and walked, and I had to ask people in lawns, like, "Where's Sachsenhausen? Where's," and they were pointing, and I finally get there, and I asked my host, um, I said, "I can't believe people would build houses around a concentration camp. It's a memorial now, but I can't believe that." And he was like, "Oh, no. No, this neighborhood's been here for like 200 years." And it just dawned on me that this was built in people's backyards, and how horrified I was. It really, that truth and how people looked away, in Nazi Germany, um, just really, I'm not Jewish, but it just really hit me hard. And I think that is always this underlying thing of don't look away. If you look away, you're complacent.
Yeah. So where did that come from? I'll ask
I
you
guess it's
differently.
a cultural belief.
Did it come from you or someone else? And you just said it, yeah.
It feels like it's something within me, but I'm certain that's conditioning.
Yeah, what I mean
Everything is
is,
conditioning.
yeah, it was taken on
Yeah.
from outside. So again, this is the system doing its job to produce a result. And so many different vantage points, different people are involved, are cooperating in co-creating this limitation on our unlimited selves, ultimately our unlimited self in this experience. And I know that that is hard. That can be really difficult in the short term to break from. Yeah, I think that so I used to be heavily involved with activism, and I had a sense of duty about over informing myself all day. But what sense does that make? This is a new convention. To be informed about global news
Yeah.
24/7 is
Yeah.
super new. So these people from just, I don't know, 50 years ago were able to live in total freedom from this idea, and now it's built into my
Plaguing us. Yes.
no.
That's so interesting. You're right. You're right. No, the algorithm, I got my own algorithm happening up here, but the algorithms have understood my algorithm. Yeah.
So in reference to that, I mean, you don't have to avoid the apparent reality out there. There is no avoiding. That's a very different thing.
Yeah. So when I have these thoughts that I have to write down and make these lists, it feels compulsive. Like I recognize it as compulsion. I see myself sacrificing something else to follow through. How do I nix that? Do I just make the decision and stop doing that? I mean, and I've told myself, carve out 1 hour a day. Do this. Do what you. If you enjoy this, do it 1 hour a day. And I don't follow through with that.
Another part of the book is about doing what you want. But doing what you want is very different from doing what the person wants.
Mm,
So there's this kind of breaking of agreements with yourself that's happening, which is like, oh, well, I want to be free from this, but I can't stop myself from doing it.
yeah.
You cannot be of two minds about something. The mind can be of two minds about something. You are one and you're very decisive.
Yeah.
Any back and forth thing is not you. Recognizing it as not you, contrasting this indecisive or this back and forth, oh, I want to do this, but I want to do this, with ultimately the peace that underlies, that is always there, the peace that you know is there. Otherwise, we wouldn't
Mhm.
be just contrast it, and you start to untangle what's compulsive and what's me. So if you identify as compulsive, it's harder to break. But when you see, oh, there's this compulsive energy of a thing rising in my experience, I
Yeah.
see that. That's the
That's
key.
not me.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say too with all this stuff is there's this idea, oh, my thoughts are so strong. This momentum is so strong and I'm so stuck. You're not stuck. You are not anything. You're not any of that. Any descriptor you could ever say about yourself is wrong.
Yeah.
Have you worked with self-inquiry?
Yes. Matter of fact, I had some questions for you. I really I'm always trying to find the right question because I feel like who am I or what am I? I'm searching for a negative. I feel like it's a trick question.
It is.
And I is it being is okay, so the question I wrote was, well, before that, I wondered, does it work because it causes us that in itself s- inquiring about something that's not answerable? Does that in itself cause a cessation of thoughts? Or is the question really relevant? I mean, the question's relevant in that it needs to take you to an unanswered, mysterious place. But is it the cessation of thoughts that's relevant? Or is it really you want to know that answer? Okay. So,
It's fine for thoughts to keep going.
okay.
They have no,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. So
The question I like is my identity just a collection of thoughts? Is that an okay question?
that's an excellent question.
Because
And it's
that one's really interesting to me. And it's not in the negative. It's which yeah, I prefer it. I don't know what you think.
yeah, it works. S- Self-realization, these words in themselves are a misdirect. You can't exactly say what this is because there is no ultimately self that we're even looking for. That's what you're eventually going to come to with this is that even when you get to what am I am nothing. I am no thing.
I've done it so long that I can't imagine a situation where "what am I" triggers any sort of realization. So,
The way that I see self-inquiry as the mind breaking itself down. So you're poking holes in what the mind says you are.
that's what's awful is I think I'm in that tricky place where I already believe the concepts. And I've done enough psychedelics and have enough glimpses where I'm pretty convinced what this is conceptually. Um, I've had the experience of feeling like I'm in a hologram and I'm in just this moment and everything is holographic and I can see everything from every angle.
Mhm.
And so I think I already try to take that concept in my day to day and I go, this is and I build it for myself like this, like there's no separation between, and this is all artificial the way I'm presenting it, but I'll present what I think it is, and then I just feel frustration that the illusion is strong. And I know that's not a technique I should be doing, but I just feel like constantly I'm in a state of mystery. Like this isn't what I think it is. I know this isn't what I think it is.
It you're not even thinking what it is.
Yeah,
So another way to say that would be I know this isn't what the mind says it is.
yeah, yeah. That's the sentiment. That's what I feel all the time. I
Yeah.
know that's true, and if there's a frustration that I can't directly experience it
So
sober.
if we call this a solution, it's so simple, which is that do you want yourself or do you want the illusion more? And in each moment, is your attention placed on the illusion or on yourself? So if there's still an attachment to how things are going to go out there, to the way people are being treated, to the way people think, if there's still an idea that I should help them be better, or whatever it is, there's still investment, attachment,
Yes.
and mixing up your part in this,
Yes.
your ability to even impact any of that by doing.
Yes.
So
That's
it's
been my biggest trap, I think.
so it's just like this little
Yes.
gauge. Am I on this stuff or am I on myself?
Yes. That's exactly where I am.
Yeah.
And I know I just believe my ego used to tell me that awakening was a Pandora's box. And it's going to, I'm not going to be a good mother. I'm not going to be, all these things were going to happen. And I'm now certain that I want I want to experience reality. I don't want to experience my children and my husband with the filters of my shadows. I want a clean house. I want it out. I want to experience raw reality. I want to experience my children with raw reality without my buttons. Um, I want that desperately. And I
Yeah.
feel like it would make me a better person and a better mother.
So first of all, we can break down the huge belief that these are others.
Yes,
That's you.
I know. I know. I tell myself this.
But here's another level to it. You have bargained to have your own autonomous experience of that. But over there,
Yes.
you have also
Yes.
had you've made a bargain to have that autonomous experience of yourself here.
Yes.
So to want
Mhm.
them to change is counter to your nature.
Yeah.
And nobody's really suffering. This is you
Mhm.
acting it all out, no
Yeah.
people being hurt.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
true. I sometimes envision like I'm in The Sims and I forgot that I'm in The Sims and I am like going to town on some massive project that's so important. And then you zoom out and it's like this little tiny figure in one corner of this little game, like so important, this little thing. It's silly. I can see that.
yeah. So that recognition in itself, that's going to unwind this naturally. And if you ask me from my perspective, from what we've discussed, the only thing that is stopping this from just all unwinding, unraveling is a belief.
What belief?
The belief that it can't in this moment.
The belief that what can't
That
unwind?
belief
Oh,
of this can't
that I'm
all
trapped in
unravel in
this.
this moment
Yes.
is generating the reality where it's going to take a lot of work.
Yes.
So drop it. What if you don't do any work on this anymore? What if you don't watch any more videos, including mine? I don't care. What if you say to yourself now, I'm already done. If no awakening happens in this lifetime, it makes no difference to me. Do you see how that is actually your true nature?
I've thought so much about that too. I my fear is if I let it go, I'll forget about it.
Yeah.
And I'll get sucked into the illusion.
Well, this is all encompassing. This surrender doesn't just apply to awakening. You don't just say, I'm letting go of this. You say, I'm letting go of it all. So surrender just becomes your mode for everything. This is a back door because it is a spiritual practice. Do you see how this,
Yes.
because you've identified as a one who needs to be improved upon and as the one who's saying it needs to be improved upon. You think that's you. See, the thing is, nothing
Yeah.
needs to be unraveled. What happens is when the mind says you have work to do, blah, 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 what you do is you just look at it. Is it true? Is that true of my true nature? I know enough of my true nature to know that that's not true. And that's the beginning of the mind not having as much power over where your attention is placed.
Yeah, that discernment
Mm.
of recognizing the pull. And I
Yeah.
feel like I'm getting better at recognizing the pull, and then I'm like, "Okay, I'll give in now. I'll give in now. I know I'm giving into a compulsion, but just now I'll give in." And that's how addiction works. I just keep giving into it.
The character.
Yes. Yes.
You are not subject to addiction. You are freaking pristine.
Another trap on this note is feeling like I'm so flawed, feeling like my reactivity is so, um, destructive. Not that's a big word, but unhealthy in my relationships, and I have it in my mind that the quickest way to solve the reactivity is to unpack it all without the ego's, resistance. So the ego has to go, and then I can clean house, essentially. So I have to do to get rid of the ego so that I can clean house. That's what I have in my mind.
Mm, but they're the same.
What do you mean?
When you say clean house, you mean like mentally or like in your life?
No,
But
the shadow work.
they're the same thing.
What are the same thing?
Letting go of ego and cleaning house are the same thing.
Right. Well, you know the notion of when you awake, there's no defense mechanisms, and so all the stuff, the fear and the stuff arises, right? And to me, I visualize that as cleaning house
Oh.
when the ego can no longer hide things from you.
Mm,
Um, and so what must come up comes up and reveals itself, and you process it. And to me, that's full realization. And I keep thinking to get there, I have to get rid of the ego who's doing such a great job at maintaining, uh, keeping my trauma at a distance and maintaining my mechanisms.
that's actually a really good question to start asking yourself. When, if I am trying to meditate and all these thoughts are just coming up one after another, such a barrage that I almost can't even ask the question, what am I avoiding feeling in this moment? Because thoughts are there
Yeah.
to keep packing more stuff around this
Yes.
idea of a self to protect yourself. So,
Yes.
so
That's
the
what I
thought,
feel. I feel like that's part of it. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm feeling.
yeah. So the thoughts are not your enemy. There is this kind of trying to protect. And
Yes.
under that, there's love
Yes.
for
Yeah.
ourself that isn't there. So thoughts don't need to be resisted if they come from love. We just see through them. But the question is, okay, in this moment, what am I avoiding? What do I not want to feel? And then, like you said, get really close up with the perceived traumas because nothing has ever actually happened to you.
Right.
What has happened out there that seems to have defined me? And how does it feel? And let that stuff completely consume it, go totally into it. This will take a lot of the charge out of thoughts because what is there to fear? What is there to avoid when you've started feeling all the things and you realize it's not really much of anything? Feelings seem really scary.
Mm.
But when you just say, okay, go ahead, fear, take it, just come on, or anger or whatever it is, it might be like a temporary, maybe like a burning or something in the chest, or maybe your stomach feels queasy for a minute and then it's just gone. And it takes
Yeah.
it the charge that it was sort of perpetuating behind thought.
So interesting. Because it does feel so compulsive that I can't even wrap my head around. I feel bombarded.
So you mentioned that you've maybe you said gone no contact, or you just whatever it is, there's a part of the family that you're not talking to, and there's this compulsive wanting to have an argument that you may never actually have.
Well,
This
it's really my dad was Christian, and I have this big disappointment that he's being robbed. The love that was in his heart, and we've always differed on politics, but the love that was in his heart for people has been eroded.
Yeah. So on one end, maybe it is, maybe there is psychological warfare going on out there in the illusion. So what? And this question I ask, it's in the book. I learned this in CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, but I
Mhm.
find that it applies so much to this, which is to kind of sever the line between what thoughts are coming up and your energetic supply. Yes, this is going on out there. So what?
Ugh,
It detaches you energetically. But you need to have conviction behind the so what, which is to ultimately know that this isn't real.
yeah,
Um, on the other thing I was going to say about it is that he is consenting.
yeah,
This is resonating with something in his experience, and he's choosing it.
yeah. That's
Nobody,
where the other anger comes in, so there's a lot of mixed feelings, but you're
nobody's.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I had this glimpse before. Um, I've had a 2 really profound glimpses, and one of them was, and I know that I probably filled in some gaps to the raw glimpse, so forgive me for that, but it's rang true for me, really true. The glimpse was kind of our true nature, experiencing all of humanity. Humanity was on a wheel. I could see, like, life happening, wars happening, to and humanity was living to the beat of a song,
Mm.
and violin notes were the sad sound of war. And it was almost like, an opera where you get the full spectrum of emotion. That's what this song is. It's the full deal. It's the whole show. And the whole thing, the whole totality was so beautiful. And in my understanding, it was so beautiful because of all of it was there to create all of the emotion. The love that's in forgiveness, the love that's in recovery from addiction, the love that's in grieving a child. There was just love present in everything that felt horrible. And I could see it so clearly. And it was so beautiful. I sobbed. And I understood that when you wake up, you can enjoy the song. And when you're still asleep, you're waiting for the song to end. It feels like, "When is this fucking song over? I hate this song." But you could see the beauty in the song, and for that moment, I saw the beauty in the song, and I opened my eyes. I mean, I was so sobbing, and I thought, "But my trauma can't be beautiful." And I thought about my trauma, and it was. In that moment, I saw the beauty in all of it, and it felt like this perfect fabric that was just put together just right. And
Yes.
so, like, in my mind, I have this notion of, this is the song. This is the song. I just can't enjoy it. I
Yeah.
can't enjoy it right now, but it is a beautiful song.
And you can. You have the option to sort of say, fuck it, all of it. And where you are right now with all this sense of resistance and all these things that shouldn't be happening, or they should be a little different or further along, or something should be clicking better by now. This is your dance. It's exactly right. It's exactly
Mm.
perfect. We have this idea that, like, I don't know what it's like, the inability to see past this moment into a possible future where it's clicked. So we think, for whatever reason, we think the mind says that where I am now is just all that's going to be. Like we don't have, we can't, we're not allowing for, we're not letting it be beyond the imagination.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is never going to, the mind is never going to understand. It's going to do its best not to let us understand.
Right.
And we use the mind, we trust it, and we say, well, I can't see how it could be, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's the mind saying that.
Oh my gosh.
The mind is
Mind, it's so
completely always
strong.
false. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
all
Well, I have it in my mind that I maybe I have to do the fetters. I can't progress if I don't get from the first fetter. Well, then
that.
I try and can't. Well, then it's just futile. It's not for me. There's something flawed about me. It's just not in the cards for me this round.
Two sides to that as well. It doesn't have to happen. It really doesn't matter. And if you take the pressure off, wait, the other side is if you take the pressure off, it's much more likely.
Yeah.
There's this idea that I, the person, need to awaken. You're not the person. You are awakening
Hmm.
her. So take equal joy in so-called others awakening, because this is not ultimately about an individual journey. This is a collective heading towards something. So somebody else
Yeah.
awakening is just as good and important.
I
And
do
in
see
that, it's
that.
like, okay, yeah. So if this human called Jodi is only here to play a peripheral role in the awakening of other
Hmm.
experiences, is it
Hmm.
also good enough? Because that's me.
Oh, I like that framing. I like that framing. It takes it out of this will solve all my current problems. This will make my life more enjoyable if it's, this rooting for it in a collective way makes it less personal. Yeah,
At the same time, not even attaching to the idea of a collective awakening because you don't need
that's a
it.
desire. Yeah, that's a desire. Yeah.
Whatever happens in this illusion doesn't touch you.
Yeah. I just want to, that's what I desperately want to believe. That's what I desperately want to feel.
Yeah, so it's
I
the other
know that's there and I want it here.
way. It's the other way around. Rather than I want to believe it, it's the other way. It's dropping the belief that it's not that, because
Yes.
you came in already knowing
Yeah.
and constructed a mind that is now just blah 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 blah,
Yes.
blah.
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
true. It's not real. It's just happening. It's
Right.
happening to you because of agreements that you've made to be limited. And if you have a family that has really different views from you, I mean, it's probably going to be pretty easy. So take all of your beliefs and say, where did this come from? Oh, okay, I see. Yes, I had this parent who had different in values. This isn't personal. it's you're playing a really small human being at that time, and you depend on these people for survival. And so, yeah, okay, my name is Jodi, whatever. And then, yeah, okay, we're a Christian family, whatever. Or maybe that didn't happen, but um,
Yeah, it was evangelical.
yeah, I didn't know if you had ever like actually bought into it or practiced or anything like that. But we either go two ways. We're either buying into all this stuff or we sort of rebel against it for a similar reason to survive. So it's all about
Yeah.
survival and it comes from the most formative people. And then when you start to see, it's almost like this big spider web of all these connections where it's like the whole me was created outside. I didn't even create it. The mind is absorbing all this.
Yes, 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 yes. Oh, I get that. That's so profound. Yes. Yeah. My experience is just, um, yeah, it's created my identity.
How
And then
impersonal,
I'm yeah.
how energetic.
I don't know how to untangle these beliefs
Says the mind.
as the mind. Do you just say, "I don't believe," I mean, I don't know how to set them free.
Well, there might be a kind of wanting to set them free right now, which would makes it seem really impossible. But if so, instead of your list making, you start writing. You write down, what are my beliefs, and you can even sort of say to yourself, to your unconscious, subconscious, um, what are my beliefs? I want to be shown my beliefs, and then you'll start to see them acted out. Maybe afterward. So maybe at the end of the day, you reflect on all the reactions and different behaviors and things, and then you can root them down. So, okay, I have been playing out, the thoughts have been playing out all day. This argument that I want to have that I'm never going to have. Well, why? Because well, maybe I want to be right. Maybe there's a sense that the me wants to be right about this rift between myself and a so-called other, and then you can root this down. Well, who is the other? Is myself even real? Okay, I see this is all rooted in illusion. And where did this come from? Well, my parents used to argue, and there was a sense that to be right in an argument is a matter of survival. So there's me wanting to further myself, the me wanting to further itself based on being right in an argument that may never happen. It's survival.
Yeah. You're right, I gotta write things down. I don't I don't investigate enough what my reactivity what causes my reactivity and the thoughts that consume me most. I really should be writing this down.
So it will result in a lot more compassion for this experience, first of all, but it's also going to depersonalize it or impersonalize it. And you'll see it just as cause and effect. It's just karma. It's just this um, momentum of actions and reactions that's been happening for generations, for so long. Ever
Yeah.
since the mind came about, it's just been being asleep, and one character affects another character, and then they affect another character.
Mm.
Then it becomes very dreamlike.
Mm.
Looking at, and so instead of all these thoughts are coming up and it's so frustrating, drop the resistance and start looking at where they came from, and then it loses steam. So for me, letting go of beliefs was how this kicked off. The mind completely unraveled for a while just from doing that. I mean,
Really?
yeah, it came back. It came back, but just the force of removing beliefs. I mean, that is the whole, that's what's holding this together, is that you bought into it. So just see what all the beliefs are. Root them back. Can I know for sure that this is true? And where did this come from? Are the ones that I really like.
And for you, when you say they came back, um, not permanently. I mean, the thoughts are there, but your identification isn't.
Right. Yeah. Once you've lived without thought, you know for sure you're not that.
Yeah.
When it comes back, it's just the mind brings new,
Challenges. It updates the algorithm.
yeah. Yeah, and they feel more compelling, and there can be different types of sensations that accompany it and things like that. So yeah, just letting that fizzle out.
Let me see what other questions I have. That one. Okay. I want to replay all of that, but I realize I have the video. I'm gonna read it, watch it again. Okay. Oh, if sensation comes before thought, what causes sensation? People say the sensation creates the thought, which creates the story. Is that not right?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
I've heard that said. Maybe I misunderstood it.
Yeah, so in order of manifestation, and maybe you've seen, I don't know if you've seen videos where I've talked about the koshas.
I have heard about the koshas from David Bingham, but I
Yeah,
just discovered you, so I haven't gotten through
same
your
thing.
videos, but go ahead.
Yeah, same thing. So in terms of manifestation, you start the human experience is most rooted in bliss, but it's the most subtle. It's the least apparent in this experience. Does that make sense? So it's
Yeah.
sort of elusive, but it's like your base program. On top of that is wisdom. Also can be elusive if you're using mind as your source of intelligence.
Mhm.
So wisdom. And then we have mind. Now, mind is going to generate what happens after that. So mind has an impact
Okay.
on the energetic layer and the physical layer. So what,
Okay, that makes sense to me.
yeah,
Okay.
you
And
have a thought.
so the mind creates a sensation, which then gets interpreted by the mind and then a story gets created, right?
Mhm.
Okay. That makes sense to me. I
And it's
I just got
cyclical.
confused. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I have
So
such a
when
bad
a thought
memory.
comes up, and this is a David Bingham thing, when a thought comes up, you have in this moment the option to say, okay, I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to keep placing my attention there, and I'm going to buy into the reality that's presenting, or to decline it.
Yeah.
When you decline it, you short circuit the little function it's trying to execute. So then you don't have the emotions and the sensations.
It feels so addictive and compulsive that declining just I love the concept. It makes so much sense, but
Maybe today you don't. Maybe today that's not the operation you're undergoing. To me, I think today it's just total acceptance.
yeah.
Total accept. Don't do any work. Don't do any list making if you don't want to. Just lay there or whatever and let everything be what it is and get accustomed to what that is like to let everything wash over you. Just let it. It doesn't impact you. Doesn't reflect on you. So you can watch it all happen, contrast it because I think you have a better sense now that none of it's you.
Yeah.
Watch it like a movie. When it loses
Yeah.
some of its steam, you can go into the other things. It took a while. It took a while for me to understand declining, uh, what David would call low frequency emotions.
How
But
did
you
you do that?
can,
How
what?
did you decline it?
It's at the thought for me. When the thought comes up, I don't believe it. So
I
it's
still
just,
don't see it as a thought in the moment. It feels true.
yeah.
Like I'm talking about reactivity. Like if my husband does or my kid does something, if emotion is triggered, um, I'm blinded to that whole thing. It's completely not even in my contemplation that this was an invitation.
Okay, so where you are is to reflect after with compassion.
Yeah.
So if we have this sort of stream of events that's like something happens, I react, and then later I'm upset with myself and then feel like blah, blah, blah. At some point in this chain of things, you can stop it. And maybe that's over here for now. And then later it just gets shorter and shorter. That's fine.
Yeah.
There's such an idea of this like personal investment in being a better person that it's like seems strange that I'm saying, yeah, let the human play itself out, let it react, let it do whatever. But what choice do you have? That's already going to happen. So let it.
And just be conscious about it.
You did at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot of self critique and maybe overly watchfulness toward yourself.
Mhm.
Let it go. Let free yourself.
Yeah. I have these.
These are more specific, tricky little things that I wouldn't even focus on. The overall idea is just that all of this is optional and not as dire or as serious as the mind makes it out to be.
Mm, okay.
Your kid is you. Treat your kid like you. That's what the golden rule it actually means.
Mm. Oh,
Treat
that's
someone
cool.
as you would want to be treated. Yeah, it's
Yeah. It's a tricky thing that I've dealt with my kids because I see as a mom, I see them as an appendage of me because I still
mm,
have a me. And really seeing that they are their own soul with their own journey and their own. That's a really hard thing, letting go and understanding that this is that their own experience.
they are equipped with the same
Yes.
5 layers of human experience you are, which includes an
Yes.
entire layer of wisdom and bliss that would just show were it not for the conditioning. So, in a way, stepping back is very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I found you because I have sought out so much help. I don't know a single person on this journey, and I feel very alone with it, so I'll seek out help, and a lot of times I feel kinda misunderstood,
Mm.
and I don't feel like there's a resonance between, the conversation, and this has been so wonderful. I definitely want to make another appointment with you and report back on this.
Yeah, give this time to simmer and settle, but that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
You and I have had really similar experiences. I've noticed that all around the people that are sticking with my YouTube channel are doing that for a, a real relative reason. Um, the way things are communicated and the various like contexts and things. So,
Yeah.
uh, Sunday meetings that I've started doing are people like you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love that. I had no idea you did that.
Yeah.
I'm
So I
very
think
excited. Yeah, let me know.
you're in my time zone. So it would be Sundays at 2 p.m. for you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I downloaded your book, so I'm gonna read that. Oh, thank you so much. I feel like you really did meet me where I am, and I'm gonna have a whole list of questions for you next time. Thank you so, so much.
You're welcome. All right. I'll see you later.
Okay, see you later. Bye-bye.